Hi, everyone, and welcome. Um, Before we get started, just a quick introduction. My name is Maggie Briggs. I'm with the City of Lakewood on the Economic Development team. I'm joined by our director, Will Chan, in the back. Claps for Will. Um, Carolina is my colleague in the back as well, and Marcus is somewhere too. He may be manning the desk out front. So, if you have any questions about, being a small business in the city of Lakewood, what sort of city resources there are, or things of that nature, please feel free to grab one of us, always. And um, I want to also introduce our wonderful panelists. But before we get into that, I also wanted to make sure that our panelists have a sense of who is in the room today. So I'm going to force some participation here. If everyone could you raise your hand if you own your own business? Whoa, that's a lot of small business, a lot of business owners. Um, Raise your hand if the business you work for would be considered a small business. Or own. Raise your hand if you work for a large business. Woo! And then raise your hand if the business you own or work for is certified as minority owned, woman owned, veteran owned, etc. All of the above. I love that. Okay. So now I'll turn it over to our amazing panelists to introduce themselves and give a brief background.
Good afternoon. Hi, everyone. My name is Fran Campbell, happy resident of Lakewood for 30 plus years. Um, so I'm really happy to be doing this. I am the president of the Asian Chamber of Commerce, and I work directly with Asian owned small businesses, not just in Lakewood and Denver, but around the state. And we some of the issues that my community faces as a minority small business community is a little bit different than, maybe what your community faces. I have language issues, acculturation issues, generational issues that we work with, but still, the Asian small businesses are thriving. They survived COVID, the ones that are still here, and, their way of doing business is kinda challenging for me, but that's what my job is to make sure they have the opportunities that are available to them in a way that they can understand the opportunities. So that's what I do. Pam is one of our members. Actually, you're not because I know that you're American born. New immigrants don't necessarily have the trust in American systems, especially financial systems yet. A lot of things, they're very insular. They depend really just on themselves. They are not always reaching out to the opportunities that were available to them, especially during COVID. It was either they didn't know about them or they didn't wanna know about them. They were gonna stand on their own and do it that way. This is true for our refugee community and our first and even second generation immigrant Asian communities.
Good afternoon. You hear me? Yeah, no, I did. Just one thing, we didn't get the memo that we were supposed to coordinate, but we did. So thank you. My name is Ali Spray. I'm the CEO president of the Hispanic Contractors of Colorado. We were founded in 1990 by 10 Hispanic business owners. Our focus is minority, women, veteran, small, emerging, disadvantage, even though I don't like to call them disadvantage, more like diverse, and mostly local businesses. And the construction, design, suppliers, anything that works in construction, um, in the Front Range area. I would like to go to the Grand Junction and the Eastern Plain, but still, so far, I've been mostly in the Front Range area. Again, right now is a challenging time for some of our businesses, not only in the political spectrum, but also what is the economy doing right now. I'm pretty sure you see the news. Something similar to what Fran was saying, in the Latino Hispanic culture, we were taught that if you don't have debt, it is really good. So a lot of more business owners were doing cash payments. And I said, yes, that works in our country, but if you don't have a credit history here, you cannot get a loan, right? So we're trying to also educate them, but we have from the national contractors, the Hansel Phelps, Sanders, Mortensen, to a 1-2 person business. And even though we're Hispanic in our name, we are welcoming to anybody that wants to participate, anybody that embraces our mission of supporting the local economy. It's not a DI initiative, it's not a something that makes anybody feel good. It's about local businesses, support local, hire local, support the local leagues. If you see a lot of your schools have local businesses supporting your baseball, your soccer teams, your football teams. And that's what I say to anybody that can hear and my elected officials is about how we support and keep Colorado as a place for small businesses overall.
That's great.
Question, Pam? You have a question for me? Just want to make sure.
Oh, thank you both for those introductions. Um, so just to kind of get started, we're wondering for business owners just starting out, or maybe business owners that have been operating but have never sought formal certification, what are the first 2 to 3 certifications or registrations minority-owned businesses in Colorado should prioritize and why?
Well, typically right now, the City and County of Denver is the one that has been having the certification as small minority woman enterprise and emerging business as well. RTD has as well. The Department of Transportation has, I think, the DVE. The DVE right now went through a little change. It went in a pause, and we have to laugh because if I cry, it's not going to be good. So pretty much it's on hold. And you have companies that were certified as disadvantaged business enterprise. They have to really certify and they have to write a personal narrative saying why you have been discriminated, but you cannot use sex. And they use the word sex because there's, according to the government, there's only not 2 ways to define sex, female and male, and race. So you can give your story, but you cannot use sex or race as a grounds of discrimination. And they're telling us that there's going to be a recertification process. There's going to be a criteria. Some panel's going to review the recertification, but we still don't know how this is going to go. So right now, a lot of projects that we're having disadvantaged participation has been put on hold, and those goals have been eliminated. That's a concern for a lot of our companies because they were having that certification and they don't understand what it means. We're working with a lot of municipalities, Boulder, Denver, Adams County, hopefully Lakewood, that is still, if they want to rename it to protect from the federal government stopping funding, if they want to call it small business, that can work. Who doesn't want to support small businesses, right? So if you're just certified with the City and County of Denver, there's also my colleague Stephanie and I with the Mountain Spring could not make it, but the Mountain Spring Supply Diversity Council, a mouthful, has a minority business certification that doesn't is based on your race. It doesn't matter how your sales volume. There's the Women Business Enterprise Council that also provides that certification for women-owned businesses. Also, um, and Maria from Labor Depot, she's part of that. They also base it on who is the major owner of the company. Now, the state of Colorado created a supplier diversity directory. Anybody has heard about it? Raise your hand. If not, we need you to get you because now the state is saying if you have a certification, get in the directory. Put your certification, and the state is gonna verify that your certification. And any municipalities, company that want to say, I want to work with a company that's certified, but I want to know if it's in Lakewood, they can go to this directory. Even the city and kind of, any municipality can do it. They don't have to create a new program. So they can verify who's in this directory. So I cannot emphasize enough, get your information in there so people can see that you have certification if you want to work across Colorado with any municipalities so they can verify you have a certification.
Thank you. The change of the certification happened on October 3rd. And the reason I know that is because it was our gala that we have for the Asian Gala. And then I came out of the gala and I saw that news. So what it does for my community, um, just to give you a perspective of how much this change is, my community is not like your community. We don't have a lot of contractors. Um, Pam is probably the only one that I know of. Maybe there's two or three Asian contractors. My community is mostly professional services and and small businesses for, like restaurants, hospitality, those kind of things. So talking to them about the importance of certification was always very challenging because they don't see the need for it. Even though all of these companies, even, like RTD, Comcast, they are looking for restaurants because they need, who's going to serve them lunch? They are looking for photographers. They are looking for legal services. You still have to be certified to do that. Now, being an Asian business and having to go through the tape of language and the cultural understanding of the process was always difficult. Now it's even more difficult because they can't even say they're Asian. Um, the Asian Chamber of Commerce, we received a federal grant 2 years ago to take our services around the state. Wonderful. I'm so happy. But now we can't even say we're Asian. When I do my SBA um, periodic report, I have to actually put something different where it says Asian. I put identify community. That's what I put. Just kind of set my computer to just replace those. Those are part of the difficulties. So for my community, certification is down on the priority list. They're still looking for capital. That's the number one issue, is looking for capital. Um, Looking to make community networks, marketing analysis. All of those things are kind of more important for my community than the certification. And even now, it's less of a priority because of the changes that were made.
Um, I guess kind of jumping off of that, what funding sources or capital programs are out there that you think maybe are underutilized by minority owned or small businesses in Colorado that you think more people should know about?
Um, well, of course, there's the standard regular financing that you get through a bank when you apply for a bank loan for for a small business, an emerging small business, or one that's even been around for a while, right? You have to have a complete, full, comprehensive business plan, right? A lot of in the Asian community, especially the newer businesses, don't understand that piece. You can't just go into a funder and say, "I need this money." That you can't. You have to explain why. You have to have a budget. You have to show 'em payroll. We learned that during COVID with the PPP grants that were available, so many of them that were available, it was so hard for my chamber to get those through to my community because, like you said, cash is king. So there is no payroll, um, summaries, P&Ls, balance reports, all of those things, are just with the accountant that they never pay attention to themselves. This is very, very typical of Asian small businesses, um, of the newer Asian small businesses. So the places to get capital that I tell them is, I said, don't even walk into a funder if you don't have that balance or that business plan. If you don't have that business plan, that don't even go there. You're going to embarrass yourself. You're going to cost them a lot of time. They're not even going to fund you. But there are the nonprofit funders, the CEDS. Yeah. Um, if you don't qualify for the big bank loan right off the bat, SEDS are able to provide you with the smaller loans just to get started. But they are under scrutiny right now too, for the same reason that everybody else is. Their funding has been cut. It's hard for them to get funding. You know what Asians did during to survive COVID is they went to their uncle or their aunt in California, who kept extra cash. You know, so they survived it because of cash, but now they're tapped out too. So with the tariffs and the supply chain and the employee chain, now that they have to have real employees and not just cousins and nephews and nieces and stuff, it's hard. So getting typical funding is really difficult. It's very difficult. That's not to say that all Asian businesses are like that, but the Asian businesses that come to us for help, that's what we're looking at. So I would say, yeah, regular banking does great. There are so many of the banks. First Bank used to be PNC, right? There. Yeah. Or now PNC, they used to be First Bank. They have diversity a special diversity office to work with Hispanic and Asian um, business owners. And then if anybody's interested in this SEDS financing, come to me and I'll introduce you to their regional representative.
Yeah, I wish we were having more fun news for you guys, but it's a little challenging. But I mean, I really appreciate the entrepreneurial spirit, right? I always tell companies my small contractor is not different than the national one. They just have 100 years of difference, right? If you go the history of every company, it was started by a grandfather, an uncle, and that's how they kept growing, right? But you're right. We have to educate our entrepreneurs that if you don't feel comfortable showing your finances, then you're not going to have that funding. It's really hard. Banks is one of the main sources, but there's also your credit unions. Credit unions are a lot of untapped resource, and you can go and base it because they're a cooperative, so you can talk to them as well. Colorado Enterprise Fund, they also have programs for that, and they can also direct you to the lenders. But I also want to, and I think last week I got a news from a friend, Caroline Terrell. It seems now the small business office is going to be running out of funds. And I think they're targeting three states: Colorado, Illinois, and Minnesota. You can imagine why, right? So now there's not going to be enough funding, but there's ways. And that's what I love from my entrepreneurs: the resiliency, the drive, the spirit to make it work. And we have to figure out how a community we can help them. I know Huntington Bank, they also have a program. US Bank has a program. And that's one of the things we encourage our entrepreneurs: establish a relationship with your banker. I know sometimes it's kind of hard to trust them, but if they don't know your business, they cannot make recommendations. You be honest with them; they can tell you what services you can cover. Enterprise fund, credit unions, anybody. You have to be ready. We also have sometimes with our any small business in the construction. Sometimes they feel residential and commercial is the same thing, and I told them no. Residential, you're lucky because they pay you when you're done with the job. Commercial, 30, 45, 60 days sometimes. And that's really hard for small businesses. And when I say small business, talking about the whole alphabet soup, right? Um, we also advocate with our large contractors, making them understand for them, getting paid their invoice helps to buy more equipment, payroll, and keep the doors open. So help them understand. Sometimes you have to ask your contractor, how you going to pay me? If it's 30, 45, 60, do I want to make business with you? Right? So we have to help them. And that's what we provide some guidance. We are not reinventing the wheel. We have the partners with the city, small businesses, consultants, all these people, they have been advocated. And if you have a questions, we talk between ourselves saying, who do you have? I welcome any Asian contractor. Pam is one of our members as well. How we help them. And again, I hate when people tell me they're uneducated. No, they're not uneducated. They just have to wear many, many hats in their company. So sometimes they have to be the controller. Sometimes they have to be the project manager. Sometimes they have to be the front person, customer service. They don't have the big staff. But we're here to support them because my heart is about small businesses keep our local economy going.
Actually, so if you are looking for how do I create a relationship with a funder? I can't just walk into First Bank and say, "Hi, I'm here to ask for some money." The you can, but the best way to actually start a personal relationship with funders is to connect with your chambers and your SBDCs and HCCs. Connect with them because we that's what we live for is networking and making the connections for you. They are members of both of our organizations. We have a networking event. They're all there. If you need to meet them, we'll introduce you to them.
And I actually know that we have a couple banks in the audience right now. I know there's First Bank and Bank of Colorado. Could you guys raise your hands? And if there's any banks I'm missing, thank you. I think there's two in our back row. So they may even be at your local networking events too. Ways to build relationships with them. Um, Kind of sticking on this topic and going a little bit back to what was mentioned earlier, but I'm curious about the policy or legislation at the state or local level. I figured we'll start here. We can yeah, local level that currently has the biggest impact, positive or negative, on minority-owned businesses.
Okay, legislative session. Um, and sometimes I don't know to cry, drink, or what. It's really hard. Pray too, right? Drink. I have to. Um, I respect our elected officials. I respect the job they do, but sometimes we have to educate them that when they're trying to pass a policy that they feel is gonna correct a behavior in a big company, it trickles down to my small businesses. I'm pretty sure some of you are familiar with the Family Medical Leave Act. That we, as an association, we're opposed, and we always tell them it's not that we don't care about people. Or business need people, or people are the most important thing. But there is no people to protect if there is no employers to hire them. So when a business closes, where is your employee gonna go and find another job and have that security? There's a lot of legislation right now implementing rules, and we are against it. But again, they come and say, you guys don't care about people. You don't care about the safety. You don't care about benefits. We understand that. Or small business try to provide as many benefits, but they're not the big companies that they can give you as many PTO or kind of credits for childcare. We were in the women's chamber and they were talking about all this flexible work schedule and childcare and everything. And Fran and I were looking, I'm like, well, that'd be nice if you have that. But our small business can. And that doesn't mean that they don't care about the employees because there's sometimes it's a family owned business, right? So it's a constant education on the policy. But again, right now seems, and again, I don't try to get into politics too much, but right now we're seeing as a shift, sometimes more in the union, nothing wrong with unions, but again, serves a model for specific companies, not for every company. It serves a purpose to protect employees, but again, when they don't engage with the community to understand what as a business owners can affect you, and then they become a bill, and now you have an extra regulation, an extra paperwork that you might have to hire somebody just to keep up with that. How that affect? And I see you nodding your head, Pam, because sales just. hmm Yeah, for sales and tax. Now they're telling me if as a contractor I'm gonna pull a permit, I have to provide all my subcontractors workers' compensation in order to get that permit. So if you're a small contractor and trying to do a renovation, you have to chase everybody to get that. And I'm telling them, you know how it's gonna take them. And they tell me, oh, they're trying to do statewide. Oh, yeah. Now also they're saying OSHA national is maybe going away. So now they're saying maybe we should create a Colorado OSHA. But meanwhile, we might have the national OSHA and now the Colorado OSHA. So what is the one that is gonna take priority or relevance for companies? I mean, sometimes I just have to laugh because it's crazy. And this is where we ask you, as individual, as business owner, to express your concerns. You can testify in the Capitol or chambers or associations. We have lobbyists that tell us this is going to impact your businesses. So we need somebody to come and testify. You can testify in person. You can testify online. And when people say, I don't want to get in politics, I tell them, if you're not at the table, you're going to be in the menu. And I need, because I can go and testify all the time, but they get sick of seeing me. And they say, you just run an association, you don't run a business. I only have 3 people on my staff. I have to be HR, operations, finance, business development, marketing, sometimes even custodian, which is nothing wrong. But I told them, but I represent businesses. And when they don't hear enough from their constituents, they feel like everything is okay. But that's why I say, my small business feel like I don't want to get into the politics. You have to. There's 3 issues: the politics, policies, and parties. I'm not asking you to get in the parties. I'm not asking you to get in the pot. I'm asking you to get in the process that they're trying. So you write them, you testify, you talk to your local, state, federal level, because at the end, you're the one paying the taxes. They better hear from you.
It surprised me. I took over this role 2019, right before COVID. It really surprises me how little our municipal, state, and city agencies understand. They really don't understand about my community, which is fine. My community is only 4.5% of the entire population of Colorado. We're easily ignored. So when I come in and I scream a lot at them, they're really surprised, but they really don't know what's going on. Um, and when they ask me how do we connect better with the Asian community, I said, well, you have to show up. You have to come to the events. You have to come to these kind of meetings, um, to meet them and to hear their voices. So the flip side of what I do is to make sure that all of those agencies, government, even big corporate, understand our community, understand the nuances that we understand at the very basic level. And we also have to give them the opportunity to reach out to our communities. So we offer translations, um, face-to-face meetings, interpreters, those kind of things for them. But it's hard. It is very challenging.
Um, Maybe going off of that too, how can minority or small businesses advocate for themselves collectively to influence policy? Um, especially when everyone feels like there's not enough time in the day, right? What are some kind of easy ways to get involved?
Um, Again, if you want to have more of a voice of what's going on and you don't feel that you have the time or want to do it yourselves, that's where your chambers and your SBDCs and representatives like us can, come tell us. We'll do it for you. Okay. That way, at least you have a voice. I'll tell you something. Um, the state of Colorado, like 5 years ago, they did what they called a survey, to make sure that that all of the contractors and small businesses that were certified and everything not only had the accessibility to the um, grants or the opening contracts that were available, but also utilized what was available. They surveyed the Asian community and the LGBT community. Really, we are one of the smallest. And they said, oh, they're doing fine. They are utilizing everything that's available. Local SBA told me at one time that there's over 27,000 self-reported Asian businesses around the state. This survey surveyed 49 of them. So, yeah, they got it wrong. Would they have known that they got it wrong unless, we didn't go and tell them? You guys have it so wrong. So that went out the window, and then now there's another survey going on. So, yeah.
Yeah. The disparity studies, that's what we call it, City and County of Denver, to see the participation. And again, small businesses. And I am also advocating for white owned men and veteran owned businesses because they also have a contribution. So we want those voices. There's different ways to get into the advocacy. And again, if you don't like it, that's fine. You believe me, I didn't think I was gonna like it this much, and I do. You can write to your representatives, right? You can come to your city councils. You can write them. Like I say, COVID, one of the benefits of COVID is you can send your comments and they will add them to that. You can testify. I mean, sometimes in your house, they tell you, okay, the hearing is going to start 2 weeks ago. They told me it's going to start at 6 o'clock. I was finally able to do my testifying at 8 o'clock at night, but I was in my car and did it. Uh, you have questions, send us. If you have a concern, Pam can send me, Ali, I have an issue with this bill, and this is why. I convey that message because they know I represent almost, yeah, over 200 members. And not only Latinos, I have some Asian, Black, white, large, small, medium. And this represents, again, if you are contributing to the community, they have to listen to you. I just love that they told me, educate me during the campaign, educate me about your issues. When they get elected, apparently they know everything because they don't want to hear sometimes from us, right? But I have to remind them, this is who you are supposed to represent. These are you're supposed to hear from, and these are the issues. We don't want. I mean, companies are leaving Colorado because of the policies, and that's what we are raising the flag. You're making Colorado really not business friendly. And again, it's not the big companies that you have to worry. Obviously, there's a concern that, but it's the smaller ones that keep our communities going. I love going into little shops and buying little local stuff because I know that this makes a difference. So why is so hard for them to understand that the policies you're making is not sometimes bad, but is we call it the unintended consequences that they have. And I ask them, you have to engage with your stakeholders before the legislation starts, because every legislator has to present 5 bills. So we're talking about 700 bills between January and May. And sometimes I feel this is a great idea. And you read it and it's like, not really. Well, we'll figure out with what happens after we pass it. No, you're not dealing with that. It's the businesses that have to deal with that. So your power is really important. I cannot emphasize enough your advocacy power as a business owner, as an individual, as a constituent and a resident of your local communities.
So I just wanted to give you guys the opportunity to share a little bit about kind of what your organizations offer, and then also let business owners, um, how can business owners think about building strategic relationships with chambers, councils, or anchors as an opportunity for something else rather than just networking?
Okay. We know that you have limited time between your business, your family, your time, everything. What we ask is like evaluate what you want to get from an association, chamber, trade association, because your time is really valuable. You get what you put in. I told my members it's easy to give me a check for your membership. I take it any day. But that doesn't feel good if you don't come and engage. If you told me I want to meet contractors, okay, I host monthly dinners the third Wednesday of the month for 10 months. You come and tell me what contractors you want to meet. And Maria, I hope you're meeting the people that I'm offering you to meet, right? But I can only make the introductions. It's for you to help me follow up with them. If you call me and say, I have called them and I have not heard from them, I don't have a problem calling them and say, hey, remember? Because that's what they're also asking me to introduce them. And again, not because they're minority. They told me, my contractors, I want to get a project. I want to get a connection because I'm a local business who happen to be certified. The certification doesn't mean that I'm skilled or not. I'm skilled and I had the qualifications. I happen to have a certification, by the way. So we offer those networking opportunities. We offer the introductions to our members. We have different levels of membership, but if what I offer is not what you need, that's okay. You can tell me, Ali, I need more of different things or different companies to network. I'm happy to call Fran. I'm happy to talk to the Hispanic chamber, LGBTQ chamber. Is for you to tell us what you need from your investment to make it really worth it in your time. So if you tell us what you're looking for every association, we can help you understand if it's with us, with the Hispanic contractors. So like I say, or we present in our monthly dinners opportunities they're coming with any municipalities. In April, I'm going to present how to work with some local medical systems, UCH Health, Denver Health, Kaiser, to come and talk about how as a small business can I get contracts with Kaiser. In May, I'm hoping to have higher institutions, colleges, universities. So I bring four or five speakers to talk about that. So we have different themes every month to just bring you and connect with people. But the chamber does different, so you have to evaluate that.
Actually, it's almost the same. Yeah, it's almost the same. Now we're very fortunate. I'm very fortunate to be part of the Minority Women's Coalition of Chambers, MWCC, which is the Hispanic Chamber, Black Chamber, my chamber, LGBTQ Chamber, and the Rocky Mountain Indian Chamber. Now, we are the minority chambers and including the Women's Chamber. We actually are all housed in the same building at the Red Cross Center at 4th and Sherman. The Red Cross donated that whole space for all of the minority chambers, except for the women's, but because they're so big. Yeah, and I think that's actually where the specific minority chambers, SBDCs, that's where we specialize in, is to make sure that the communication, whether it is because of culture or language, that we can help you with that because there really isn't anybody else that's going to help you with that. Yeah.
There's organizations like Mi Casa Adelante, Adelante Community. Also, the state of Colorado launched an online program, free in Gen, for people to learn English at their own pace. I can give you more information. I haven't top of my head, but they were gonna charge, but people are like, no, you cannot charge on this. So they're seeing that the need of people to learn the English language. So you can go and say, here's an also a tool for learn how to, because again, your contract is going to be in English, your document is going to be in English. So we want to make sure that you understand that to provide prevent any liability issues for those. But again, there's a residential, there's a commercial, but I think now the state of Colorado has that. But we also partner with associations that present Central San Diego, I think, also have some classes in for English learners. So there's resources, and we want to is if I don't have the answer, I call and I find it, because again, you guys are running a business. We're here to serve our community overall. Even if you're not a member, I don't mind helping you and trying to connect you with the people that you need to know.
And if you're looking at marketing because you have a product that you want to market out there, you're in retail or you have a nail salon or anything like that, and you want to reach a new community, a new market of clients, I could do that translation for you, right? You want, there's a lot of Asian festivals that happen in February. I have flyers out for so many of our members who are English speaking only, but I put flyers out in Chinese, Vietnamese, Korean, Hmong, just so that there's a new customer base for them. So we could do that too.
Eh, Does that answer your Okay.
Um, if every business in this room took one action in the next 30 days to strengthen their position, what would you recommend they do? And abroad.
I've been buying it, still nothing. But for me, there's actually two things: the advocacy, learn and understand what bills can come, and then start advocating that you have a conflict or some concerns about there. Because again, I'm not asking you to read the 700, but as on our website, we have a bill tracker of what are the bills that are going to affect construction or design specific. Every chamber also has a tracker of the bills that will affect as businesses. The Colorado Chamber is a big one. They also are tracking a lot of that. The Labor Peace Act that is coming too, they're tracking on that. So make sure that you can follow up some of this. And again, do a little research of what you want from an association, with a trade association or a chamber, right? Chamber is broader, a lot of businesses. My association is for construction design, or that you provide a service or goods to the construction industry.
Right. So this is what I tell anybody that asks me, what can I do to strengthen my business? How many of you have gone back to your business plan, your original business plan, and updated it and looked at it and say, well, maybe this is why I'm not doing so well in this area. Maybe this is why I'm not getting that loan that I want. Anybody? Yeah, one in the back. Yeah, that business plan is so basic to running a business. Even my dad did when he had a business, 40 years ago. We had dry cleaners business. A business plan tells you not only what you're going to do, how you're going to get the money, how many, your staff and everything, what you're going to do if you're failing. I need to go back to that business plan and change something. It is so important so that you understand, so that anybody who's working with you, any funders, they understand what you're doing. So update it. If you haven't updated it, take a look at it. Think about where I'm not doing so well in this area. Where in my business plan am I missing? Okay. So when we do the training classes, that's the very first thing we talk about, and the very last thing we talk about is that business plan. That is your business plan. You can't walk into a bank without a business plan.
So yeah. And I know right now workforce is a big challenge also for my small businesses. We need people. There's not enough people. How we do that? There's a lot of nonprofit organizations. They're also trying to connect. employer seekers with employers, employee seekers with employers. So it's also that a challenge. We need to see how we can connect you with that. I don't have a workforce development center program, but I can help you connect with organizations that are helping people. Some of these individuals have some challenges getting hired because they have some uh, history with legal or addiction, but they're in the path of finding a job. So sometimes it's just giving the person a second chance too. If you don't have a problem for contractors, sometimes they work in government buildings and schools, so they are more limited to who they can hire, right? But if you're also looking for that, because I know workforce, finding the people that want to work and having a schedule, 6 o'clock, 7 in the morning, whatever, but it's a constant thing. But it's something that we keep hearing from our small businesses. Where do I find the people? They want to work and stay loyal. Yeah. Eh, There's what on the table. So, because I think he's trying to get into more context. So, I know a lot of municipalities, cities are trying to connect people that are looking for jobs. And there's a lot of opportunities also that the state is doing apprenticeship programs. Everything, if somebody say, I want to change a career, there's also the opportunity. So, how we can also help you connect to find or connect with the organizations that are connecting people looking for jobs with employers too.
That's great. I want to turn it over to the audience. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, no. So, yes, great. I'm going to run to you.
What kind of certifications are we talking about here? Because I know the construction's obviously they know what they need to get, but you talk about services. Like I provide legal services. Do I need a certification, and how do I list myself? I mean, I have my LLC from the state's uh, attorney general and all that. But what do I need to do? Do I register as as a minority business, and how do I certify myself?
So
Thank
yeah, the seating kind of number is the one that used to have that. But if you're a woman owned, I will consider researching the Women Business Enterprise Council, because also a lot of corporate organizations, big companies, they're researching within and say, hey, I want to have a woman-owned business to help us with this specific project, right? So the Women Business Enterprise Council, the Mountains Plain, they're more broad for services that they can provide: catering, translation, legal, um, event planning, document shredding. So they are more broad to if you have more service, not completing construction. But even the city in County of Denver has a 3,000 business or more, I think, that they're from legal services, planning, photographers, anything. So it depends of what kind of, where do you want to put that. The process I know is a little cumbersome because they ask for a lot of documentation. So, but there are consultants that they can help you and guide you in that. Nobody's gonna, you can hire somebody. I don't always endorse third parties doing your certification because who knows your business better than you. But if you have to do that, there's companies that also help on that as well. The other thing I have to warn, there's a lot of companies now soliciting we to write your narrative for your DBE. Be really cautious with that one because there's a lot of people that are taking advantage of this situation and trying to take your money, and it's really risky. So see that, and the small business centers, they have a lot of consultants, they have been doing this and they want to help, and they will kind of guide you because again it's a personal narrative, so it's not a AI. And if you do AI, please verify the spelling, the grammar, because they can see that too. So we can put you in touch with consultants. But like I say, when third party saying we can do it for you, we can do it, I really caution my small businesses because they charge a lot and I don't know how good this service could be.
I think connecting with City of Lakewood, the Supplier Diversity Office here, Jeffco, Supplier Boulder, Supplier Diversity in their procurement offices. RTD is big, and they always need, and they'll help you with your certification, but they are working not only on all of the new RTD stuff, but on the Front Range Railroad that's going to be coming. There's a lot of places where they're going to need legal. Even if it's just we need to secure this corner of this property so that we can put a terminal station right there. That's not only commercial real estate, that's also legal, definitely. So, yeah, contract, then that's the thing that we have to work to get our communities to understand that you don't have to be a contractor um, or a remodeler or whatever to do these kind of certifications. But RTD is good. Also, private companies. Excel is huge. Excel is really huge. But do you think they actually have that many employees to go around, even just to serve them lunch at their meetings? Those are contractors that they have, you know? Those are contractors. So Comcast, Excel, Coors, Ball, you know, those are all big. Yeah.
There's also a website if you want to check it out. It's called Shop BIPOC, BIPOC, that you can upload your information. So when somebody say, I want to hire a BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, or people of color business, you can upload your information. Just put it for you. Sometimes like self-certify, so they don't require that. But sometimes I go and look for that too. So Shop BIPOC.
Does anyone else have any questions? Yes.
Years ago, I could not get a line of credit from the bank, and First Bank worked with me, and my home is the equity for the line of credit, which then I was able to get. I mean, I just last year, increased it like about 3.5 times, and that just really helps with my bonding to have lines of credit. I also have it from another bank as well, but I just wanted to say that does help. One more thing, RTD. I got my certification in one day.
Yeah.
Tony Pinkham. Right. It was so easy.
Yes. So for me, it's not a question. Just wanted to follow up on that. A HELOC, it's a great product for business owners to have. It's very important for you guys to have a really good accountant that can help you prepare your taxes and not report more expenses than what you actually have, because that's what enables you to not be able to have a loan with a bank, uh, reporting all those expenses that your business does not have. And we understand that less income is less money that you have to pay to the IRS. But that is the way that's the one of the things that can help you to get a loan, like a HELOC, that can help your business grow. If you need to have money available for to pay your employees, if you don't get paid by a contractor that you did a project and is delayed or something, that's a really great product for you guys to get. My colleague and I, we both speak Spanish. We're both fluent in Spanish, and we can definitely help you guys with that product. Refinance some your property, or the HELOC is a great.
And
It's a line of credit using the equity on your home, and that way you can have access to your equity, and you only pay interest on the amount that you use. You don't use it. You don't use it. You don't pay the interest on that. And then depends. There's different other products that you can use for things like.
There's three things that every small business owner should have. They should have a good attorney. They need to have a good attorney, a good accountant, and a good banker. A banker that has become your friend, not just a bank, but a banker. Do you all have that? Do you all have attorney? Okay. Yeah. All three of those things are really important to not only help you get over any challenges, but also to grow your business. You need all three of those things: an attorney, an accountant, and a banker.
I mean, we praise. I see a lot of family business. Your wife, your cousin, one can do the books, yes, but the accountant is the one you really need for your taxes and figure out your books and everything payroll. Again, if you're not ready to disclose that information, I tell people don't get in the big leagues to play because it's gonna be really challenging because contractors are gonna ask you for statement, are gonna ask you finances, and they understand your size, so you don't have to show the big numbers, but you have to be comfortable showing those numbers. But yeah, you have to have your banker, your legal, and accountant in a speed dial besides your mom or your spouse because hopefully you don't need their legal, but you need to have or reviewing contracts, or when you're facing sometimes dispute or something labor sometimes is the one that is really, or your general counsel. And your insurance and bonding also is part when you're a contractor. So yeah, there was a question in the back.
Yes. Um, I was indicating my organization's part of a chamber, West Metro Chamber, and I was at a number of lead events where it's sort of like this. People are networking with each other and sharing referrals, and there were quite a few businesses, medium or small size businesses that provided legal services. So I wanted to encourage the folks here they could reach out to the West Metro Chamber, which actually partnered here with the city of Lakewood to announce this event to their own members. That you could reach out to the West Metro Chamber and see about who in their memberships provides those legal services, and then interview them. I can't really speak to their authenticity or integrity. But I will say that at these leads events, I was very impressed with the number of small businesses, and many of you probably feel this way yourselves, who felt that being an ethical business was a guidepost and a value that you had for doing the best job you could for your clients and really adding value in an honest way. So, anyways, I just wanted to share that.
We're working, trying to work. There's an organization, Colorado Lawyers Association, that we're doing a small business legal night. Obviously, they run out of funding, so we're trying to figure out how we can do this because, again, it can be a one-on-one, right? You have some questions. If it needs more attention or something more consultation, they can guide you who you need to. But again, some of these chambers organizations, they can have those legal nights because some law firms require this pro bono work. So it's good to have, again, just ask your questions about your paperwork, filing, and everything, and you just follow up with them.
Yeah, that's great. I'd also recommend the Small Business Development Center too for some technical assistance. If you want to dip your toes in, they have a limit on how much legal help they can provide, but it can be a place to start. And then I'm going to do this last question.
Just another comment. Former banker, now business person. It's been interesting to see the changes. My recommendation as someone that was in banking for 6 years, really plan so short term and long term. Short term being 1 to 2 years, and then long term being 5 years plus. And for me, as I've transitioned, of course, I play the tax game a little bit. I know we all do, but with the frame in mind, do I want to buy a house in 5 years? Where do I want to see myself? In the goals that I set. So that's part of the business plan. And I'm thankful for all the connections that I've had in banking, and I share those with my own little community, where people call me and I'm like, call this person, and connect them. And I think as long as we build our own communities, we can definitely share the people that we trust.
Yeah, that's great. Um, okay, I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves to and turn it to everyone. So, but before I do, I just want to quickly soft plug. We're having an event in May with the Colorado State Equity Office about their small business directory, where you can certify yourself. It's a workshop, so they're going to be going over how you can get involved in that. And I'll make sure to send out that information to the email signups for today. But just be on the lookout for that. And really quickly, I just want to thank our amazing speakers, everyone.